Everyone always says that love is blind. But in my case, love wasn't just blind. It was willfully ignorant, materialistic, and steered by a mother-in-law from hell. My name is Elias. To look at me, you probably wouldn't guess my tax bracket. I drive a 2014 Ford F-150 with a dent in the bumper. My favorite clothes are Carhartt hoodies and work boots, and my hands are almost always rough from physical labor. Most people assume I'm a handyman, or maybe a landscaper. And honestly, I don't correct them. It acts as a natural filter. It keeps the fake people away. What they don't know is that I own Elias Green Solutions, one of the largest sustainable development and landscape architecture firms on the West Coast. I don't just mow lawns, I design eco-cities. I don't just fix fences, I hold patents on vertical farming structures used in skyscrapers. My net worth is comfortably in the 8 figures. But I grew up poor, and I never lost the joy of actually working with my hands. Then I met Chloe. We met at a coffee shop where I was sketching a blueprint on a napkin. I was wearing my work boots, covered in a bit of dust from a site visit. She was a barista there. She was sweet, grounded, and didn't seem to care that I looked like I'd just crawled out of a construction pit. We started dating, and for the first 6 months, it was bliss. I never explicitly told her I was rich. I told her I worked in construction and landscaping, which was technically true. I paid for our dates, but we kept it simple. Dinners at local diners, movie nights, walks in the park. She seemed to love me for me. But then, the filter I had set up, my rugged appearance, started to malfunction. Or rather, it started to clash with the real villain of this story, Chloe's mother, Patricia. Patricia was a woman who believed she was displaced royalty. She lived in a rented condo but acted like she owned Versailles. She was obsessed with status, brands, and appearances. The first time I met her, I showed up to their family barbecue in my truck. I walked into the backyard, a 6-pack of craft beer in hand, and smiled. "Mrs. Vance, nice to meet you. I'm Elias." Patricia looked me up and down like I was a cockroach that had scurried across her Italian marble floors, which were actually vinyl, by the way. She didn't shake my hand. She just sniffed and said, "Oh, Chloe said you were in development. She didn't mention you were the help." "Mom," Chloe hissed, looking embarrassed. "I'm just saying," Patricia said, loudly enough for the whole party to hear. "I expected a developer, not the guy who cleans the gutters." I laughed it off. "I have thick skin. I do a bit of everything, Mrs. Vance. Honest work pays the bills." "Barely, I assume," she muttered, turning her back on me. That was the beginning. Over the next year, as Chloe and I got closer and eventually engaged, Patricia's disdain for me turned into open hostility. She constantly made comments about my filthy clothes or asked if I could afford to take her daughter out. But the real issue began when we started planning the wedding. That's when I noticed Chloe changing. The sweet, grounded barista was slowly being eroded by her mother's constant whispering. Patricia was in Chloe's ear 24/7, telling her she was settling, telling her that life with a manual laborer would be hard and embarrassing. "You know, Chloe," Patricia would say over dinner, ignoring that I was sitting right there. "Your cousin Jessica just married that hedge fund manager. He bought her a G-Wagon for her birthday. A brand new one. Just think about your future, sweetie." Chloe would look at me, then at her mom, and sigh. "Elias works hard, Mom." But her voice was getting weaker. She stopped defending me with passion and started defending me with resignation. The breaking point began 3 months before the wedding. We needed a venue. Chloe wanted something elegant. Patricia wanted something expensive. Specifically, she wanted the Oakhaven Estate. The Oakhaven Estate was a historic mansion that had recently been bought by a private holding company and turned into an ultra-exclusive venue. It was known for its privacy, its sprawling Japanese gardens, and a rental fee that started at $50,000 for a Saturday evening. "We have to have it there," Patricia declared, slamming a brochure on the table. "It's the only place that tells the world the Vance family has taste." "Patricia," I said calmly, "that's 50 grand just for the rental. That doesn't include catering or decor. That's a down payment on a house." She sneered at me. "See, this is what I mean, Chloe. He thinks small. He thinks like a peasant. A wedding is a statement. If you can't afford it, Elias, maybe you should take out a loan. Or maybe you should have worked harder in school so you didn't have to dig ditches for a living." I looked at Chloe, waiting for her to check her mother. To say, "Don't talk to him like that." But Chloe just looked down at her hands. It is really beautiful, Elias. Maybe we could make it work? Mom says she'll invite some of her high society friends. It could be good networking for your little gardening business. That stung. Little gardening business. That was Patricia talking through Chloe's mouth. I'll see what I can do, I said, my voice tight. I didn't tell them that I knew the owners of Oakhaven Estate. I didn't tell them that the holding company, Viridian Ventures, was a subsidiary of my corporation. I didn't tell them that I had personally designed the Japanese gardens Patricia was drooling over. I decided to run a test. A final test. I set up a tour of the estate for the following week. I told Chloe and Patricia that I had pulled some strings with a friend who did maintenance there to get us a viewing, but I warned them it was way out of our budget. The day of the tour arrived. I picked them up in my truck. Patricia made a show of putting a towel down on the seat before she sat, claiming she didn't want to get grease on her dress. So, Patricia said as we drove through the massive iron gates of Oakhaven, I invited someone else to join us today. A second opinion. Who? I asked. Brad. He's the son of my friend Linda. He's a junior vice president at Chase. He knows about value. I gripped the steering wheel. Brad. I knew about Brad. Patricia had been trying to set Chloe up with him for months, even though we were engaged. We pulled up to the main house. It was stunning, classic Victorian architecture, immaculately restored. Standing on the steps was Brad. He was wearing a suit that was a little too tight, checking his watch, looking important. Finally, Brad said as we got out. He gave Chloe a hug that lasted 3 seconds too long and gave me a limp handshake. So this is the guy? The landscaper. Elias, I said firmly. Right. Well, let's see if this place is up to snuff, Brad said, acting like he owned the joint. We walked inside. The place was empty, save for the staff. A young woman in a sharp blazer approached us. It was Sarah, the venue manager. I had hired her myself 2 years ago. She looked at me, her eyes widening. She opened her mouth to say, "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," which is my last name. I made a subtle, sharp motion with my hand, a finger quickly to my lips, and a slight shake of the head. Sarah was a pro. She caught it instantly. She cleared her throat and shifted gears. "Welcome," Sarah said professionally. "You must be the Vance party." And, Elias. Yes, Patricia interrupted. Elias is the fiancé. But Brad here, she gestured to the suit, is consulting for us. We want the Platinum Package tour. As we walked through the ballroom, Patricia and Brad began their routine. They critiqued everything. The moldings were a bit dated. The floors needed a polish. The lighting was pedestrian. It was all nonsense. The renovations had won architectural awards. Then, the attack shifted from the building to me. "You know, Chloe," Brad said, leaning against a marble pillar. "This place is top tier. It requires a certain caliber of groom to stand at the end of this aisle. No offense, Elias, but can you even afford the deposit? Or is Patricia covering you?" "I'm paying for my own wedding," I said. "With what?" Patricia laughed, a shrill, cruel sound. "Loose change you find in the couch cushions? Chloe, look at him. He's wearing flannel to a luxury venue. He doesn't belong here. He's going to embarrass us. Imagine the photos. You in a Vera Wang gown, and him looking like he's about to mow the lawn." Chloe looked at me. "Elias, maybe you could have dressed up a bit? Brad looks so nice." "I came from work, Chloe," I said. "That's the problem." Patricia snapped. "Your work is dirty. You will always be dirty. I don't want my daughter marrying a man who comes home smelling like fertilizer. Brad makes 6 figures. Brad drives a BMW. Brad is a man." She turned to Sarah, the manager. "Excuse me, miss? We love the venue, but I have a specific request. If we book this, I want assurances that the riffraff won't be allowed on the property during the setup. We don't want any laborers seen by the guests." Sarah looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, our staff is very professional. I'm talking about people like him." Patricia pointed a manicured finger at me. "If he helps with the setup to save money, I want him using the service entrance." The room went silent. This was it, the moment of truth. I looked at Chloe. This was her chance. Her mother had just demanded that her future husband use the service entrance at his own wedding. "Chloe," I said softly, "are you going to say anything?" Chloe bit her lip. She looked at the opulent crystal chandelier, then at Brad, then at her mother. Finally, she looked at me. "Mom's just stressed, Elias," Chloe said, her voice small. "And, honestly, she has a point about the image. Maybe for the wedding day, we can just hire people so you don't have to do anything?" We wanted to be perfect. Maybe Brad can help us look over the contract so we don't get screwed. My heart went cold. She wasn't evil, but she was weak. And in the face of entitlement like Patricia's, weakness is just as bad as malice. She was willing to let her mother emasculate me to keep the peace and maintain an illusion of status. Okay, I said. I've seen enough. Good, Patricia smirked. So are we booking it? Brad, get out your checkbook, I'll pay you back. I don't want Elias's check bouncing. No, I said, my voice dropping an octave. We aren't booking it. Excuse me. Patricia's eyes bulged. You don't make the decisions here. Chloe wants this venue. Chloe can want it all she wants, I said, stepping forward. But this venue is not available to you. Oh, please, Brad scoffed. Money talks, pal. And you don't have any. I turned to Sarah. Sarah, what is the current booking status of the estate for the next 2 years? Sarah straightened up, a small smile playing on her lips. The estate is fully booked, sir. Except for dates reserved for the owner. Exactly, I said. Patricia looked confused. What are you talking about? Who is the owner? I demand to speak to him. I'll offer him double whatever the current booking is. You can't offer him anything, I said calmly. Because you're already speaking to him. The silence that followed was heavy. You could hear the hum of the HVAC system. What? Chloe whispered. I own Oak Haven, I said, my voice steady and cold. I bought the property 3 years ago. I designed the renovations. I own the landscaping company that maintains the grounds. And I own the holding company, Viridian Ventures. You're lying. Patricia stammered, her face turning pale. You drive a truck. You have dirt on your boots. I drive a truck because I work, I said. I have dirt on my boots because I actually build things, Patricia. I don't just sit around judging people. I turned to Sarah. Sarah, please bring me the tablet with the venue specs. Sarah handed me her iPad immediately. I unlocked it, using my Face ID, which was registered as the administrator, and projected the screen onto the smart TV mounted on the wall of the ballroom. Here, I pointed. Owner and principal architect, Elias Sterling. I scrolled down. And here is the blacklist. Sarah, please add Patricia Vance and Brad, whatever his last name is, to the permanent ban list for this property and all affiliate properties. Done, Mr. Sterling, Sarah said, typing rapidly. Brad looked like he was about to throw up. He recognized the name now. Sterling? Wait. Sterling Development? You're that Elias Sterling. The one and only, I said. I turned to Chloe. She was crying now, her hands covering her mouth. Elias, why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to know if you loved me, I said, feeling a crack in my chest. Or if you just loved what I could give you. And today, I got my answer. You stood there and let your mother treat me like a dog. You let her suggest I use the service entrance. You let this guy, I pointed at Brad, insult me to my face. I didn't know. Chloe sobbed, reaching for my arm. I stepped back. It shouldn't have mattered, Chloe. That's the point. It shouldn't have mattered if I was a billionaire or if I was broke. You should have defended me because I was your husband. Patricia, realizing the magnitude of the fumble, tried to pivot. It was pathetic to watch. Her face shifted from shock to a sickly sweet smile. Elias, darling, she shrilled. Oh, this was just a test. I knew it. I was just testing your resolve. A man of your status needs to be strong. I was just making sure you were tough enough for my Chloe. We can have such a wonderful wedding here. It will be the event of the season. She actually reached out to touch my shoulder. Don't, I said. Get out. Elias, please, Chloe begged. We can fix this. Mom didn't mean it. She meant every word. I said. And so did you. The engagement is off, Chloe. I can't marry someone who respects a bank balance more than a human being. But the ring. Chloe whispered. Keep it, I said. It's a cubic zirconia. Patricia gasped. What? I have the real diamond in my safe. I lied. Well, partially. I hadn't bought the real ring yet because I had a bad feeling, so I had proposed with a stand-in. I was going to give you the real one today, after we booked the venue. But I think you should keep the fake one. It matches your mother's personality. You get the hell out of my building, I commanded. Security is on the way. Patricia started screaming. She called me a fraud, a liar, a manipulator. She tried to grab the iPad from Sarah. 2 security guards, burly guys named Mike and Dave, who I'd known for years, walked in. Mike, Dave, I nodded. Please escort these 3 off the premises. If they resist, call the sheriff. You got it, boss, Mike said, cracking his knuckles. They were marched out. I watched from the window as they walked down the grand steps. Patricia was flailing her arms, yelling at Brad. Chloe was just standing there, weeping. Brad got into his BMW and peeled out, leaving them standing on the curb. It's been 6 months since that day. The fallout was extensive. In small towns, news travels fast. But when the richest developer in the county dumps his fiancée and bans her mother from the most exclusive venue in the state, news travels at the speed of light. Chloe tried to contact me for weeks. She sent long letters, texts, voicemails. She claimed she had cut her mother off. She claimed she only loved me. But I knew that once the trust is broken like that, you can't glue it back together. Patricia, on the other hand, tried to sue me. She claimed emotional distress and fraud because I misrepresented my finances. My lawyer, who costs more per hour than Patricia makes in a month, laughed the case out of court before it even got to a judge. He also countersued for harassment, which resulted in a restraining order. I heard through the grapevine that Brad dumped Chloe's potential candidacy as a girlfriend immediately. Apparently, he didn't want to be associated with the drama of the crazy Vance family. As for me, I'm doing just fine. I poured my energy back into my work. I finished the renovations on the north wing of the estate. Actually, there is one small update. Last week, I was working on the trellis in the garden, wearing my old hoodie and boots. A woman was touring the gardens. She started talking to me, asking about the hydrangeas. She thought I was the gardener. She offered me a bottle of water because it was a hot day and thanked me for making the place look so beautiful. We talked for 20 minutes. She didn't ask about my car. She didn't ask about my salary. She just liked the flowers. I haven't told her who I am yet. I think I'll keep being the gardener for a little while longer. It's nice to see reality unmasked before the money gets in the way.